Are you looking for a brand new game for your family to play? Well, maybe High Rise Penguins is going to be for you. This was sent to me by the publisher so I could tell you roughly how it plays and give you my thoughts and feelings on it. So let's jump into it. High Rise Penguins is a game for 2 to 4 players with an age rating of 7+ as a suggestion. Now, in this game you're going to be using your dexterity brilliance to stack things up, balance penguins and even little shards of ice on a teetering tower of icebergs. Well, how does it actually play? On a turn, you are going to look at what is already at the top of the tower. That's going to give you a challenge. That challenge might simply be place one of the iceberg bits on and then you can put a new floor on, effectively raising the highest room of the tower, this thing that's growing in the middle of the table. Instead, there might be greeting you the penguin symbol, and that means before you can do anything, you must balance one of the penguin meeples in the highest room possible. It might be the ice symbol, and in this case, you're going to take those crystally sort of things, those gemstone-like things that are around the bottom in the sea, and you're going to place, depending on what the number is, 1 or 2 of them into empty levels. There's a few other special symbols such as skip a turn, reversing the play order, and forcing the next player to draw 2 cards. But otherwise, those are the 3 sort of main activities that you've got to complete before you can add a card of your own to the top for the next player to perform. The way adding a thing works is it must be either the same colour, and there's sort of a white, a light blue and a dark blue, so same colour, or the same symbol. So let's say you've just done the iceberg challenge of adding a floor, well you need to play maybe a different colour, iceberg as well. And then the next player needs to do that challenge to add something to the top. If you can't place any of your cards, you're going to take one from the remaining cards that weren't dealt out to players. The sea as a such that's plopped around the actual tower that's being built. You grab one of those, and if you can play it, you do play it straight away. While it's not specified in the rules, we just kept drawing if that one didn't work until you were able to go, and then give that challenge on to the next player for their turn. Some of the cards are multicoloured, these Aurora cards, and well, you can't finish the game on one of those, but you can play them otherwise just as any colour. But how do you win this game? Well, if the tower falls over on anyone's turn, they are eliminated, and then whoever has the fewest cards in their hand remaining is the winner. The other way to win is if you manage to play all of your cards. And finally, if all of the cards that are in the sea run out, everyone wins. So that's how you play High Rise Penguins, and well, let's jump into some pros and cons to let you know if it's going to be a game that you should add to your collection. Now first of all, let's touch on that thing that I mentioned during the rules. There's a little clarification that's just missing in the rulebook. At least I've read it a number of times and I cannot find an answer. When you can't play one of your cards and you draw from the sea, you are allowed to play it if you can play that card, but it doesn't necessarily say if you can't do that, what do you do? Because some of the challenges, like placing an iceberg, you've already done that part, so it needs a card on the top for the next player to do. So we just carried on drawing and that worked really fine. It sort of kept the game flowing and worked really well. Other than that, the rules are super simple and easy to teach. You are going to get this to the table and everyone kind of instantly knows once you've set it up, oh, we're balancing stuff. Those penguin meeples are going to be put on this tower. Those shards that are around, I've somehow got to delicately place them on the tower and this tower will be taller. And everyone just kind of understands that. The twists of the skip a turn, reverse the play order, those are nice, just little differences that shake things up from one game to the next, or play to play, but they're not necessarily needed because it's all about that fun. It's more fun when you make the tower fall over from misbalancing a penguin than it is just missing a turn, but they are there just for a bit of variety and they sort of fit the family feeling that the game is really striving for. And well, that's kind of who this is going to be aimed at. First of all, you're going to need to be very delicate. You're going to need small hands to place these penguins on the different layers. It reminds me a little bit of a game from Harbour, which is Rhino Hero Super Battle. In that, you are using these grand pieces balancing these things that are almost the size of this box, but in this case it's all packed into a much smaller thing. And therefore I think children are going to actually almost have a bit of an advantage in this one because, well, they've got smaller hands, so it might be a good balancing thing there for parents versus kids. Another great thing that sort of directs it at that family audience is the playtime. People aren't going to get bored of this as it's going around the table. First of all, it only lasts 10-15 minutes, maybe even 2 minutes if someone knocks it over really quickly. And even on other people's turns, you're watching them, hoping that they're going to screw up a little bit, make that tower fall over, or you're at least holding your breath with them as they're balancing that next thing on the tower. So it goes really quick and you're engaged on other people's turns, which is perfect with a short playtime for families. Now, harping back to something else that I said, it is a small box, which means it's not going to take up much room on the shelf, and nor is it going to take up much room in your bag. You don't need much table space for this at all. You're holding most of the cards, and then you have a very small table space in the middle where this tower is growing upwards. Now, the production quality on this one is pretty good. I do think the discs that you're placing on for those levels, they are a tad thin, but if you can see on the box, it's got this sort of sparkly finish. And all the cards have that finish too. I love the penguin meeples. They are absolutely amazing. Those sort of gems in the nice sort of more icy colours. The icebergs do need to be bent, but they have got little sort of grooves on them for you to bend them in very specific places. And I think that's going to help them, as well as they don't rattle around too much in the box, just to survive for a long time. As with any dexterity game like this that has sort of thin cardboardy components though, it does mean that it will show wear and tear eventually just from toppling over and all that sort of stuff. But overall, on the whole, it's good production quality. The player count is 2 to 6 players, and I think there's a sweet spot more in the middle there. At 2 players, I think it's very back and forth. You're basically waiting for the other player to topple the tower over. You're probably not going to actually run out of cards. You very rarely seem to anyway. It often does seem to come down to the tower toppling over and then who's got the fewest cards remaining. At the other side, 5 and 6, you're going to potentially be reaching over around the table quite a long way to get to the tower. So I think that 3 to 5 or 3 to 4 is probably going to be the ideal player count for this one. So you'll have as many characters around the table as penguin meeples in the box, 4 of them. So overall, I've rather enjoyed this one. A very simple, family-friendly sort of dexterity game. I like the fact it's not just always build up. Sometimes you're trying to balance a penguin or a couple of ice shards on the tower. That just mixes it up a little bit. I don't think the skipper turn etc. were needed, but they're in there for a little bit of variety. And overall, the production is nice with those, again, those stunning little penguin meeples. They really sell it for me. And even though over time it might show some wear and tear on the sort of thin cardboard stuff that you're actually stacking, but that's no different than most dexterity games that are like this. That small portable box is going to be a huge win for many people, you know, being able to take it out and about and all that sort of goodness. So I think it could be a good game for you and your collection, but hopefully this has helped you know whether it would be or wouldn't be. And, well, until next time, have a penguin-filled, because they're awesome, good day gaming.